literally, okay,
Yes.
for example, like lawyer A will say this, lawyer B will say this,
everything.
okay, and I will say that as lawyer C, because my name starts with Cannis, okay, they are all. So that is a very sort of like a difficult concept.
Hello everyone, today actually I've invited Cannis from BR Law, Associate Director here, to actually share with us a little bit more about the laws related to property in Singapore. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us on this show.
No problems, happy to be on board.
What type of law do you actually specialize in?
I've been doing conveyancing, okay, i.e. The law in relation to the property transactions for over 10 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that is my core specialty.
There's a lot of lawyers out there that will do the conveyancing, and it's a very like one straight process. But how do you actually value add to most of your clients and all that? Yeah.
I think it's in a few ways, okay.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that because with experience, with a certain amount of experience, I'm able to put things across in a very layman, very clear, very simple way on this entire process. Okay, it is because even though we always like to say that the process is not complicated, but when you're buying a property for the first time, then you get thrown with some of these phrases like what is a mortgage, okay, what is a lease, okay, is it freehold, okay, is it estate in fee simple. After a while, all of this jargon piles up, and then you're like, wow,
What does it mean?
yeah, correct.
So you try to simplify that knowledge to the customers as well.
Yes, directly addressing what the client really needs. Part of this process comes with being able to ask the right questions. Very often, for example, a very common one is, oh, I want to buy this property as tenants in common as 99-1. People dive straight into that because they feel that, hey, I heard I can save money if I do it like this.
Correct.
Okay. So without understanding part of what comes with it, okay, so that's when we sort of like we look at them, you know, we are very excited, okay, they think that they can save some money, and it's like yes, you can save some money, but okay, that's where the real conversation start. Okay,
so there's a like in a way caveat to what they're going to
everything
do and all that.
Yeah.
So I guess this is that it will kind of be in the aspect about asset planning and strategy that you would sit down with a client that, for example, is wanting to conveyance their property, to actually advise them how do they plan their ownership and all that.
Definitely, especially this is partially true for life, especially true for property. What you do now will really impact on how your next 10 years, your next 20 years will be. And as we all well know, most loans are 20 to 25 to 35 year loans. So what you do does substantially have impact.
In the sense about asset planning and all that, do you have clients like, for example, that are actually buying a property for their kids and all that kind of things? Like, can you share a little bit more on how that works?
It depends on, I would say, the profile of the client. There are a lot of range of strategies available. Okay, but generally for property, it comes back down to a few things. Okay, what is your cash flow? How much cash do you have on hand? Secondly, what is the profile? Okay, i.e., you know, are you looking towards estate planning? Okay, to buy something for your kids, for your grandkids. Okay, it really depends on which stage you are at. So then the third part of it is that a lot of it does depend on individual risk appetite. Okay, because there are some strategies that you can pursue which are a bit more high risk. Okay, you leverage yourself more. Okay, but then some people could feel that no lah, you know, I want something very safe. Okay.
So I guess it mainly is about tailor-made plan for each individual client of yours to actually work out something that possibly they can actually in a way strategize so that
Definitely.
they look into the ways that they can actually so-called have some savings in terms of
Correct.
the tax planning and all that.
Correct. We work very closely with
Correct.
with the real estate agents lah, okay,
Correct,
because
correct.
they're the ones reaching out directly to you. Part of it is that always feel free, okay, because sometimes you will hear from a real estate agent. So if you want to confirm a certain viewpoint, okay, generally speaking, that second opinion,
Correct.
okay, is always helpful. Okay,
Correct.
so but I would say you probably stop at maybe second, at best the third opinion, because after a while, if you keep on just absorbing information, it becomes noise.
Yes.
Then after a while, you sort of like you don't know what to believe anymore.
You would advise any of the viewers to actually seek their own legal professional advice, or even yourself to actually understand more of all this situation before making the decision to even place the option fee and all
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Yeah. So the next questions that I'd like to ask is that
Yes.
what are the common misconceptions that many consumers have in terms of the property law and all that that you heard of, and some of the cases that you met before?
I'll be frank, one of the areas in which there's probably the greatest array of opinion, of information on, I would say, is trust. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So if you are newbie to this topic, okay, you'll be thinking like, wow, buy by way of trust. Wow, then I avoid a lot of stamp duty. Wow, this seems to be something very like loophole. Government is going to one day close this loophole sort of thing. So buying by way of trust is a very established process already.
Correct.
Okay, because how it works is that stamp duty is based on the profile of the beneficiary.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so if you want to look at it, I would say that just look online, okay, at the IRAS stamp duty declaration form.
Correct.
What you'll realize is that the stamp duty form itself has this portion that says if you are purchasing by way of a declaration of trust, give me the date of the declaration of trust. Okay, that shows you how pervasive trust purchase is ready.
Correct.
But the misinformation or the information that comes along with it is also very varied. Because and maybe I just don't mind me. I just explain why literally. Okay, for example, like lawyer A will say this, lawyer B will say this. Okay, and I will say that as lawyer C, because my name starts with Cannis. Okay, they are all right. Okay, so that is a very sort of like a difficult concept for a lot of people. But this maybe is my explanation of why, okay, A and B and C are all correct, okay, and we could all be wrong, and you ultimately have to make your own decision. Okay, this ultimately originates from how the legal system works. Okay, so there is something called statutes, okay, which is the written law by the government saying that, okay, you cannot do this or you cannot do that. Okay, but then how precisely this rule will apply, okay, is a big question mark. Okay, when does it apply? How does it apply? So what happens is that, okay, we have something called case law, okay, which specifically tells us and explains, in this situation, okay, because somebody is suing somebody, okay, then the judge will decide and say that, look, okay, in these circumstances, this written law should be, okay, understood to mean this, okay, given these factual circumstances. Okay, when there is case law, then everything is a bit clearer. Okay, everything is a bit clearer. So for very much a lot of current, the state of current trust law, we don't have, I would dare say, close to any of these circumstances whereby the purchase was made by way of a bare trust, okay, in favor of a beneficiary, and then the beneficiary decided to sue the trustee. Okay, we don't have any cases like that. Okay, so far to date. Second thing, okay, is that because we have this lack of case law, Okay, what we generally have is that every lawyer that reads this law has to come to their own individual opinion, okay, that this, I think, is what it means. Okay, so that is basically the situation why there is that variety of opinion, and I would say that technically everybody is right, and you can also say that technically everything is wrong. Okay, so you have to decide, okay, after taking on that advice, okay, that you receive from your lawyer, what is the position that you think you're the most comfortable with, okay, and more specifically, once again, it's always to your capacity to hold on to the property. Do you think that you can hold on to this property for this stipulated length of time if you purchase it by way of trust, so that you are comfortable, okay, moving forward with the transaction?
I understand. I think with this itself, is a very clear message that in a way it's really anything is up to interpretation of each individual advisors they are seeking, be it even lawyers or even property agents, because each of us has our own way of understanding the law and all that.
Just, I'm sure in the same way for property
different things happen at the same
because
time,
you might say that this one will rise very good, and then the property agent B might say this one cannot, okay, 打死都不要买.
This is
so I think a lot of it is weighted opinion.
After seeking multiple advisors, most of my clients will, at the end of the day, those that do a lot of advisory and all that, they'll get very confused. And at the end of the day, it becomes like, 到底要做什么? That kind of questions arises.
Correct.
And there's a lot of doubts in between. So I guess is that if you found a trusted advisor, be a lawyer or even a property agent, is to listen carefully into what the agent says and also the lawyer to make your own decision and go on from there. Besides conveyancing and all that, do you also do refinancing or all that as well?
We generally do that whole spectrum. Okay, work in relation to property, and technically we are a full service law firm. We have other practice departments in other areas like family law, litigation, okay, corporate. So because of that sort of background and that sort of backdrop, usually it becomes a lot easier for us to give you a heads up, okay, on what are the possible pitfalls that you're walking into. So maybe I just go back to that 99-1 tenancy in common example.
Correct.
A very common one is, for example, at the start. The wife, for example, will be very gung-ho. So it's okay. I will just hold 1% of the property. Because this is the bigger family property. Okay, I will take out my name in the future to buy the smaller investment property. Okay, so then everything is fine, everything is signed. You understand, okay? You understand what you're doing, okay? Yes. Okay. Then after that, 3 months down the road, okay, the husband will call me up. Cannis, I think can we change the manner of holding, or can we do something to reassure my wife? It's because she suddenly feels not secure because she only holds 1% of this property. So there are some mechanisms in place, okay, but always think through, okay, and we generally during that meetup, okay, it's not just to let you see our office and sign the documents, but very often it is an opportunity for us to ask those weighted questions, okay, of have you thought sufficiently about the impact of this decision? So I think a lot of it is that.
Understand. I think this is actually very important to have the conversation before even taking the action to sign the
because by the time you see me in my office, okay, there's nothing more I can do already.
Correct. So the next part is that besides residential, you also do commercial properties as well. So if any of y'all want to actually have a commercial property advisory, you can also come to Cannis to actually get a better understanding on the laws related to each individual one, because I guess many a times we've been hearing online and all that industrial property and commercial property, definitely there are differences between both lah. So it's best to seek a proper advice and understand clearly before making a decision for even an investment property as well lah. If you want to learn more about this Ask the Expert series, do actually hit the subscribe button, and also do consider hitting the notifications bell to get more videos like this. So far, have you do your own planning for your own family assets as well? Maybe you can share a little bit with us.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, unlike some of the agents that I know don't have enough money yet, okay, the usual route, okay, as all the older property investors will always tell you, okay, your birthright, HDB. Okay, but that unfortunately also means that you're locked in for close to 10 years, because it takes a while to build that HDB, remember? Okay, then plus after that the minimum occupation period, so that's essentially 10 years
gone in your life.
That is potentially 2 property cycles lah. Okay, but remember, okay, parents always come and tell you, I help you with the deposit, okay, but who will pay for the rest of the loan? So you know, so sometimes around, you know, HDB giving you that 10 years to build up your capital and things like that might not be a bad idea lah. So it really depends on individual circumstances lah. But in Singapore, I take it from here lah, a lot of kids these days are all very fortunate, and their parents will buy property, you know, condo landed for them lah. Okay, so if you belong to that class, please don't fight with us poor people for HDB. Okay, so generally just go straight into the condo, don't look back.
For yourself, right, you actually bought private or HDB, or which one do you choose?
I went for HDB first, okay, because you know, no financial support. No financial support, not by choice.
I understand.
Okay. So, but I mean, with a HDB BTO, it's hard to lose money lah. Okay. Generally speaking, okay, hard lah. Okay.
Hard.
Then, what is the next one? Okay. Usually, people will tell you condo lah. Okay. If you are able to lah. Okay. But always the problem with going into a condo is that you know, you are exchanging that bigger HDB unit for a smaller condo unit, and you're paying much more for it. So that is always that struggle lah. Okay. Then all these amenities like the pool and whatnot, you won't use it lah. Okay. I know I don't lah. Okay. So for a lot of, I would say, Singaporeans, okay, around my age, okay, I'm close to 40 lah. Okay, generally, what most of them hope to make that leap is sell away the HDB and then leap directly into landed. Okay, so I think that is the perception for a lot of people lah. But it depends on the individual, because there are some friends who will tell me, no, I will never stay in a landed property. Okay, because you know, I have to take care of everything by myself. Okay, so some will never want that, some will absolutely want that. Okay, but I would say you leap into landed generally because of the space. Okay, because you realize that I have 3 kids and plus the maid and plus my parents want to stay with me.
A lot of
landed. Okay.
So in a way, is that you actually went on to consider landed yourself for your family.
Correct.
I think it's very interesting lah, because many of us as a young age itself, we always aspire to have a larger floor plate, like you mentioned and all that. So I guess with the slow progression, in a way, for 10 years of income, you managed to do some savings of your own to actually go into this aspect of your livelihood where your family stays together and all. I think it's very interesting, and thank you for also sharing a little bit more about your learnings into property as well, so that at least all our viewers can understand more about it lah. Any things that you wanted to share, like you think is very critical for them to know before we end the video lah? Maybe you can just.
I hang out with a lot of older folks lah. Okay. So they always remind you on this one thing in relation to property. and that is that you must be able to hold. Okay, if you are buying the property based on the premise that my rental will cover this X amount, and then after that I just need to come out this amount to pay for that 35-year loan, yes, okay, it's financially sound. Okay,
That's for the good markets lah.
yeah, correct. So it's like yeah lah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that ability to hold, I think, is important lah. But having said that, those a bit more fortunate amongst us, okay, they, generally speaking, younger people are able to take a bit more risk because you have much more of a runway. Okay,
Correct.
and something doesn't go right with the investment, or something goes wrong with the investment,
Correct.
okay, there's usually dad and mom to fall onto lah. So instead of that masters, which will put your parents back 100,000, okay, you know, if you can persuade them to give you 100,000 to invest in property,
then it's a different thing.
you might not be that bad, that worse off lah. Yeah. So
Understand.
that's the thinking behind it lah.
I think you shared one very important point about having the sustainability and holding period, which I think many of the people around the 40s and 35 to 40 or even 45 range, a lot of them are actually afraid to do their upgrades and all that. But after they understand this concept about having this holding power, it becomes much more confident because without holding power, it's actually very scary. Because I've seen cases where people actually all in everything, and at the end of the day, market good,
Correct.
but it actually went the other direction. So
Maybe I take the opportunity to share one story
Sure.
of one of my very old and very interesting clients. She did literally a menial job. Okay, she was like at one point of time, amongst the other things that she did, she was like a cargo handler at the airport or something like that. Okay,
Correct.
menial job. She had, at that point of time, if I'm not wrong, 2 condos and her own HDB. Okay, but a lot of these rules hadn't
kick in.
haven't kicked in lah. Then she was happily renting out and subdividing. Okay, and don't do this lah. Okay, she was subdividing her condo units. Okay, to sublease out. Okay, and she was
Getting a healthy rental.
it was very impressive. Okay, for someone who's doing a menial job, you know. Okay, so but sometimes it's also very frightening lah, because if anything goes wrong, okay, you know, it all goes south lah. Okay,
to fall back.
you don't even have that stable income to fall back on. But at the same time, okay, she was audacious enough to do this, and you know, she turned out to be a hit lah, you know. So and I think the second point I would put across is that there's a personal belief on my part, okay, that ultimately the only thing that holds value are assets, okay, because I think we can see with quantitative easing and everything that we've seen these days lah, okay, your 100,000 that you have now might be worth a lot less, a lot faster, okay, if you don't put it into tangible assets lah. So that is something that's a bit, that it is what it is lah.
Thank you very much for sharing that as well. I think with that, I think many of the viewers, if they wanted to seek advice for buying any type of properties, is also to seek your lawyer's advice and all that before taking the action. And last but not least, I would like to thank Cannis that actually share with us honestly about your own journey and also about how you help your clients as well.
No problems.
And if you all learned something today in this video, do smash the like button and consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notifications bell to get notified for more Ask the Expert series like this. And I look forward to see you all soon.